Hey, this is Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and we are a minute or two late this morning. That is my fault. I was having tech issues. So anyway, welcome to A Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to turn this marketplace into a sales engine. Mark, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're not going to talk about tech issues because we all have tech issues. Hey, the topic today is new customer onboarding. Now, hey, I said new customer onboarding, not new employee. This is key. We're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts of how to really make a loyal customer. Our lightning round is where we're going to talk about the top 10 ways to drive customer loyalty. I'll tell you what, you want to grow your sales. It's going to be the easiest way to do it. Hey, Jack has already joined us, and I'm glad because Jack's topic is going to be the question that we're going to talk about. Welcome, Jack Hubbard, to the show.
Yeah, it is a great topic, an important topic, and I'm really glad that Jack brought it up because I don't think it's a topic we talk enough about, and it's going to be really key as we head into 2023. Now, speaking of tech issues, I am still struggling to get our video uploaded here, so I'll do a little countdown.
See, and that's why you want to listen to the audio podcast, because you listen to the audio, you're going to get the right music, the right voiceover and everything. So, hey, what the heck? Hey, we want to say thank you to our sponsor. We want to say, hey, the power of scheduling automation has never been more important than it is today. Your sales team needs a solution to easily meet with prospects at the right time, every time. With Calendly, you can turn more meetings into revenue. Accelerate your sales cycle and increase your win rate when you use Calendly to automate your scheduling. Finish the year strong and request a demo of Calendly today. The easiest way, just go to calendly.com/the sales logic. Hey, Meridith.
Yeah, I just switched over to Calendly about 60 days ago, and I am super happy with them. All right, we got a big show today. I think it's an important show today. Now, you know that every week we come to you, we kick off with a hot topic. We have a question from you, the audience. If you ever want to participate in this show, and we would love it, you do so through the chat, as well as sending your question to saleslogicpodcast.com. We recommend a book, and we leave with a lightning round. So, Mark, kick us off today.
Well, yeah, because we are talking about new customer onboarding. Don't confuse that with employee, the do's and the don'ts. The question, well, it's not really a question. Great topic from our good friend, Jack Hubbard. Jack was great trading messages with you all week long. Hey, the topic is he and his team at St. Meyer and Hubbard did a study and found that less than 8% of commercial bank divisions had any formal onboarding process for new customers. Being a new customer of any business is scary, and getting a customer off on the right foot not only mitigates buyer's remorse, it facilitates cross-solving and many referral possibilities. So how do you put together an effective customer onboarding strategy? Let's go to the banker in the group, Meridith Elliott Powell.
Yeah, well, I was trained by the best. I was trained by Jack Hubbard. I love this topic because, you know, the sales funnel has changed so much. I mean, back in the day, it literally looked like a funnel. And now I say it looks like an hourglass. I mean, you can't push on customers anymore. It takes a lot to land the deal. So when you finally get the customer to come to your door, don't stop selling at that point. Start to think about, what do you want their first experience to be? Don't mistake the fact that just because a customer buys a product, they're sold on you. They're not. They're still testing you out. So the last thing you want your customer to be is confused. And so when they purchase from you, you need to think about, what are their first 30, 60, 90 days going to be, and how can you get that first experience to be really, really good? I mean, exceptional, better than any other place that they would do business with you.
This is so key. One of the questions when I'm talking with the CRO, I ask them, hey, what's your cost of customer acquisition? And sometimes they'll spout out, and a lot of times they don't know a number. But then I'll say, hey, does that include the first 90 days that the customer's on board? Because this is where so many issues really arise. Because especially at quarter end, has there ever been a salesperson that has gone out and sold expectations that can't be delivered on, and the customer expects it, the customer buys, and the customer's expectations are not met because the salesperson led them down a wrong path just for the sake of making quota? Let me tell you something. You got to get this right, or you major problems down the road.
Yeah, I want to say one of the I was listening to something really interesting last night about Las Vegas and how Steve Wynn and some of the billionaires built Las Vegas. And Steve Wynn, who was the builder of the Mirage and obviously the famous Wynn Hotel, his big competitive advantage was convenience. And I think that is so important when it comes to customer onboarding. How convenient are you? For example, I just bought a new product and they literally sent me a PDF of a contract to sign. I can't even remember the last time I got a PDF of a contract to sign where I have to print it out, I have to sign it, and I have to scan it back in. I'm already irritated because there isn't a DocuSign. So start to think about how convenient and how easy are the first couple of steps for a customer. And I'm going to back all the way up. And I want to back all the way up is, when is the last time you walked through onboarding to your own product or service? When is the last time you stood there as a customer and experienced it? Because if you don't understand what your customers are experiencing, you don't understand how to make it better.
And see, I'm going to take that one step further. It's not just going through it yourself, but you have to go through it with the naivete of that new customer. I see this in SaaS companies. I get to work with a lot of SaaS companies. And they say, oh, wow, we got this trial, we got this onboarding process, and it's great. We get customers up. Well, yeah, it's because it was created by the founder, or it's created by the first 50 employees who joined the company. They understand the product forward, backwards, inside, and out. And I just had this recently. A company asked me to do some work for them, so I'm going through it, and it's like, this is as screwed up as can be. Nobody outside of their circle that built the product is going to understand this. So you've got to really test drive. I'm going to say, not only do you need to go through it, but you need to begin auditing. You need to begin asking customers at that 30, 60, 90 day, hey, how did the process go? And when customers come in and fail to stay with you, are you doing a deep dive to really understand why? I'll tell you what, there's a tremendous amount of business that can be regained if you would just listen to customers that have left you early on because those expectations, something didn't go right. That PDF document you got, clearly the product was something that you wanted, because if it was competitive to something else, you might have said, screw it. This is
I am almost there. Like one more step that they make it inconvenient for me, and I will move on. And that's what that's what you need to realize about onboarding. But Mark, you bring up such a great point, and that is, do you know what your customers' goals are in the first 30 days of using your product? I mean, Mark and I may buy the same product, but what he needs out of it in the first 30 days and what I need out of it in the first 30 days may be completely different. And your job is to meet our expectations, probably exceed them in the first 30 days. I just cannot stress enough that if you think of the funnel like an hourglass, where the customer is when they first buy a product is in the neck. They like you, they're pretty good about it, but they don't trust you yet. So what you do in those first 30, 60, 90 days are going to determine whether they go into the base of that funnel and are ready to buy other products or services.
See, that's so key, because the onboarding process is going to feel different to every customer. And again, I see customers, and again, I saw this in a SaaS play and another SaaS play I was working with, going through it. And if you had a particular set of software, or if you had a particular set of hardware, PC, you could make it work. But if you had an Apple device, it wasn't going to work. Well, nobody ever said that up front. So you talk about customer frustration. You talk about losing customers. See, you got to be able to break it all the way down. And I'm going to encourage you. You know, what was that old TV show? Are you smarter than a fifth grader or sixth grader or something
Yeah.
like that? Remember that show?
Are you smarter than, I think, a 5-year-old?
A 5-year-old. Thank you. Oh, great. Now we're going to make ourselves. So can a 5-year-old download? Could a 5-year-old be onboarded? Okay, now that may be an extreme exaggeration, but still, you got to create it at a very simplistic manner. You and I both write books, and you and I have had it beat into us that you have to write at almost a 9th grade, 8th grade level, because you got to create that mass audience, and you have to be cautious. And again, this is what happens. You get too close to your own fire and you don't realize how it's going to burn other people that come up close.
Yeah. I think another couple of things you need to do is that it's, Mark said this, but you need to solicit feedback. I mean, part of the onboarding process or part of the selling process is such a huge mistake is we sell the product, we're done, we get people signed up, and we wait for them to call us if they have a problem or a concern. Don't expect that they're going to call you if they have a problem or concern. Reach out, check in with them. Now, Jack Hubbard will be the first one to tell you that if you reach out and you check in with them, you're probably going to find another selling opportunity in that, but don't make that your goal. The point is, I want to check in. I want to see how Mark is liking the product, what's working with it, what isn't, and any hesitations that he has. Now, think about this too from your sales standpoint. Let's assume I'm selling a product to Mark, and I have this unbelievable onboarding process. The moment that he signs up, he gets an email from me saying exactly what to do next, how to do it, all the links in there, and all the links are live, which is another thing. Anything that you can automate and make really easy, you should think about automating and making really, really easy. If he can click a link and sign something, if he can click a link and get to a tutorial, anything like that. Now, all of a sudden, Mark is going to a cocktail party, or he's going to a meeting, or he's going to watch, a football game with his friends. And he's talking about what an amazing experience he had buying this product from me, because it doesn't feel like any other product he's bought. So this is such an opportunity to not only make Mark happy as a customer, but to begin to create buzz about myself in the marketplace.
And remember, I'm going to have those same conversations 180 degrees different.
Oh, completely.
If the product doesn't work. Now, this is so key. We talk about automating the onboarding process. It's great. It's great. But don't leave the human element out of it. This is where you create magic with your customer relationship. This is where you create. So you may have it fully automated. But when Mer sells that and Meridith calls that customer up and says, here's the whole thing, Meridith's going to get feedback right away. And that's going to, it's going to do two things. It's going to help Meridith feel excited. Hey, great, man. What I'm selling absolutely works. So what happens? Meridith's confidence, although it's already high, goes even higher. Her competence of the product goes even higher. Yeah, it's already high. But it's amazing how it makes the salesperson feel good. And it makes the customer feel good, which what happens? They're going to be more likely to, and they're going to a football game with somebody. They're at a cocktail party with somebody. They're going to talk about the product. I see too many organizations try to cost reduce onboarding. I see this all the time. We're going to create this automated system. At most, we're going to have this online chat and so forth. And I'll tell you what happens is, you are going to send your cost of customer acquisition higher because you're trying to cut the back end. Be extremely careful. You've got to keep the customer interaction. We're kind of drifting right now into our topic, which was the do's and the don'ts of customer onboarding. But I'll tell you what, there is so much to it that the vast majority of companies leave out, all for the sake of trying to cut the bottom line. It's stupid.
It is stupid. Jack Hubbard makes such a great point. Onboarding should also, here's a great involve other members of the team, including the sales manager. It gives the customer confidence and builds trust. That's right. I mean, we want them to have lots of people to interact with, lots of people they can touch base with, and to talk with the expert in their particular area. Again, let's assume I sold the product, but it's the operations manager that they're going to be working with, or accounts, accounts payable, to get a couple of things right on their statements and to automate those pieces. I want to bring those, people into the process so that my customer has points of contact, and also so that they are talking to the experts in that particular piece of the onboarding process.
You know, what's very interesting is I see in a lot of organizations where sales kind of operates under its own P&L, so to speak. I mean, it does operate under its own P&L, and customer service, onboarding, customer service operates under a different P&L. Oh, that's so bad. That is so bad. And they don't come together until they get all the way up to the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer. Sometimes it's even higher. And I really say there's a big disconnect, because here's something. Salespeople, you may have a great group of people who do, we'll call it customer success or customer onboarding, whatever you want to call it. And they bring them on. And they may have told you, oh, stay out of the way, stay out of the way. Just give us the customer. We're going to run with it from there. I'll tell you what, do yourself a favor. Still reach out to those customers. Still reach out. Because you know what? The customer bought from you. They didn't buy from the customer success, supervisor, the customer success manager, the onboarding person, whatever you want to call them. They bought from you. And I'll tell you what, I always say you don't close a sale, but you open a relationship. This is one way for you to open a relationship, and you're going to get valuable feedback, valuable commentary about the product, about the selling process, and you never know where that's going to lead.
Yeah, such a great point. I think the other thing about onboarding that's really important is to figure out the easy win. What's really going to make the customer happy, and what could you do to make it happen for them? I'll give you a great example. So Mark and I used to use this great woman who would do customized cookies for us, put people's pictures on there and send them out when we did speaking engagements. Well, she retired. She sold the business, got out of it. And I've really struggled to find somebody else to take her place. I found this great cookie company. I reached out to them. I had a fantastic conversation. Now, I travel for a living. I am on the road constantly. My week is insane. I emailed them and I said, this is what I need. This is the address. This is the note. This is everything. And they emailed me back needing a piece of information that is kind of irrelevant that I cannot access from the PC I travel with. And he said, I can't possibly put it through operations without that piece of information. And I said, I don't understand why that matters. He says, I don't either, but I can't put it through without that. I said, well, just forget it. I'll figure something else out. He emailed me back 4 days later and said, oh, I found out that I could do it without that piece of information. Do you still want to do the order? Well, I'm done at that point. It is my first experience with them. I've already decided I am going to buy. I've let them know I probably do 3 orders a week, but he put an obstacle in front of me that wasn't even an obstacle once he got in there and he figured it out. So the easy win would have been to just make that happen for me. And I would have been sold. And then I would have told my other 3 mastermind buddies, this is who you need to go to. I've got the replacement. But they didn't. And they messed up the onboarding. Now they've lost the sale, and they put me into the hands of their competitor.
I'm waiting for you to give me the information of the person who you are using. So anyway, we'll hold that. Now, think about this for a moment. You see, the timeline that the customer is working under is the timeline different. It's a different timeline than the customer success department's working under. Now, stop and think about this for a moment. You want to have service delivered instantaneously, period. Boom. This person may have been working with customers that, well, if we get it done next week, that's fun, that's fine. But see, he didn't understand you, didn't understand your needs. And this goes back to the whole process. Salespeople, you've got to make sure that as you bring customers on board, you understand what are the needs that they're looking for. what is the outcome that they're truly, the biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to customer onboarding is we have one set customer onboarding process and we use it for everybody in the exact same cookie cutter. Okay, bad analogy, cookie cutter way. Big mistake.
Yeah, you've got to communicate. Mark, I've got to roll into the book because I have to go do a strategic plan for a customer today, finish it up. So I struggled a little bit. I'm not too familiar with too many books on onboarding, but I was able to find and do a brief, quick review of Onboarding Matters, how successful companies transform new customers into loyal champions. It's by Donna Weber. Now, let me tell you, what is great about this book is it is chock full of stories. And I don't know any more powerful way to learn how to onboard customers than to get really good stories. And it has stories where companies did an amazing job and stories where, well, it didn't work. So it didn't work so well. So again, Onboarding Matters by Donna Weber. You can find it on Amazon.
And it's another book I'm adding to my list. Hey, before we jump into the lightning round, let me remind you about Calendly. Accelerate your sales cycle and increase your win rate when you use Calendly to automate your scheduling. It's the tool we use. Meridith talked about it earlier in the show. We use to manage our workdays and achieve our sales goals. Okay, Meridith, do you have your hand on the easy button? Lightning round. Top 10 ways to drive customer loyalty. You're on the clock.
Number 1, focus on trust building. Solve their urgent need, what matters to them the most.
2, keep the human touch in there. Regardless of how much automation there is, you've got to have a human involved.
Yeah, be consistent. Make sure that if, they need to contact you or they interact with you, consistency breeds that trust, which breeds loyalty.
Continuous feedback as customers go through the onboarding process. Make sure you're always getting feedback. You'll find out what's working, what's not working. And you know what? You'll probably find some cross-sells, upsells, and some referrals in there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to create customer loyalty, then you need to be proactive with customers. Don't wait for them to come to you with problems or challenges. Go to them with solutions.
Don't ever assume you know how the onboarding process works. You don't know how to create customer loyalty. It's your customers. They're the ones that are going to tell you whether or not you're creating customer loyalty.
Yeah, I would say follow up with them. Find ways to stay in touch with them that has nothing to do with sales or growing your company. Invest in them first.
Right. Measure your sales. If year to year you're not getting an increasing amount of sales, repeat sales from existing customers and or referrals from existing customers, then something's wrong. You're not creating enough customer loyalty.
Yeah, I would say you need to be the resource in the field. You need to understand the industry better than your customers do. I'm really thinking about 2023, and if I want customers to stay loyal to me, I need to be 100% ahead of them.
Right. Hey, I'll share one more. You share one more, and we'll close it down. It is all about realizing that customer loyalty comes in different forms, shapes, and sizes. Make sure that you approach, you reach, and you serve the customer the way they want to be served.
Such great points. And I would say never take a customer for granted. Be grateful for them. Thank them for their business and constantly be asking if there's anything else that you could do to enhance the relationship and make sure that they know that you are grateful and glad for their business.
Great. Hey, with that, we want to say a huge thank you to Calendly for helping us manage our scheduling needs and this show through automation and for their sponsorship of the Sales Logic podcast. Be sure to visit the link in our show and request a demo of Calendly today. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, hey, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow, especially when you leave us reviews on your favorite podcast app. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
and the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will see you right back here next week, 9 a.m. Eastern. We should be back on the regular schedule for another episode of Sales Logic. Thank you again to Jack Hubbard for an amazing topic idea. And if any of you have anything you want us to discuss, please reach out to saleslogicpodcast.com. This is where we discuss the strategies you need to be more effective in the sales market. Now, run out there, close a couple of deals, and have a great weekend.